strong.
Hi, and welcome to Funny Minds. I'm your host, Lynn B., and I'm with my co-host,
Edward Biss.
And
Hello,
today
hello.
I have a neighbor that's close by me in Jersey. He's across the bridge. And he's not only a best-selling author, but he also sells things that were worn by dead people. We like to, and that's how he puts it, not me. So it's DUANE CERNY. And we welcome you to the show, DUANE. And, I would put it a different way, but that's how you put it in your bio about yourself. So that's pretty interesting.
Hello, Lynn and Edward.
Hello.
Yeah, well, selling dead people's things is, at least the first part of selling dead people's things, a bit of an expression that vintage dealers use, referring to themselves.
Yes.
So I didn't come up with that, but people would always say that, and I went, "Gee, that's such a good expression."
I call it vintage.
Everybody.
I call it vintage.
Well,
I don't want to think about putting someone's dead stuff on me.
Well, we call it vintage too, but
yes.
But my purpose was, and I'm sure you can relate. When you watch Antique Roadshow, okay, everybody wants to know the value of something, right? And I love when they play the reruns and the value's gone down and it's wah wah.
True.
That should be a ringtone for me,
Yeah, right.
But beyond the value, what is it that everybody likes about the show? And it's that backstory. And sometimes you have one and sometimes you don't. So, Lynn, I understand you don't want to be wearing a pin that a dead woman wore. However, that's still the reality of it. And I like to look at it this way, is that all of us, we are the temporaries.
Okay.
It's true.
It's the stuff that goes on and on. So, once you can kind of accept that, and, if there's a creep factor, sorry, I didn't invent that. It's just
I know,
life.
right?
It's just life, right? And life can be pretty funny. So that kind of got me sent me in the direction of, people always want to know, well, where did this come from? Everybody wants a backstory. And like I said, sometimes you have one, and sometimes they're really good, and sometimes they're good, and you can't tell them, because that's how good it is, or I would say disturbing, or there's no story. Disturbing, right? Or there's no story at all. Yeah. So, we're not gonna make one up for you. So that's rather the genesis of the book. And the book goes and takes you actually to estate sales and house sales. So I take you with.
Okay.
And that apparently there wasn't a book like that. And that's why it's resonated. Yeah. To my surprise, because I really didn't think anybody could be all that interested, in that. But it's an industry that people don't really talk much about, except when you're exposed to it on, again, Antique Roadshow or American Pickers or some of the, and then other shows that are a little less real, shall we say.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that love buying vintage clothing. They love it.
Absolutely. Young people really love it.
Yes. They really love it.
They totally get it. And
come full circle.
Right, it's come full circle, and there's for so many reasons. It's green, right?
Yeah,
sure. It's good for the environment. Well, it lessens your carbon footprint. We don't all have private jets flying around.
Yeah, that's true. We're not the Kardashians, that's for sure.
So I think that's why young people are particularly attracted to it. Yeah, every day I have someone, I'll even say my age, someone in their 60s who will say, "What is Bakelite? Explain this to me," or something. I'm always explaining what things are, if in fact I know, and oftentimes I don't. So even older people can be, kind of get it and understand. So like you said, like Edward said, it's come full circle.
Yes. I'll go to a store and say, or I'll look at something online and say, "Oh, that looks so vintage, but it's brand new." So
Wow.
It's brand new. But I mean, jewelry is different, something like that. Or, I've been to antique stores and stuff like that. So that's really vintage stuff. And some things catch my eye and some things don't. But I haven't done that in a long time. Anything that I feel like I have enough. So why do I need any more? But
Well, I got an answer.
Yeah, I know. Because you do, Lynn.
I'll actually tell people, it's like, you don't really need any of these things. I mean, unless we're selling some vintage cookware and you're going to be actually using it. I mean, we sell a lot of things, obviously, that are usable. You talk about vintage clothes. You say, I don't need anything more. Well, no. But, you can change, you can upgrade, or so you don't really need any of these things. The next time you walk into Target, tell yourself that. I don't need any of these things.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
We were just talking earlier about, vinyl coming back. I mean, that's a useful thing. I mean, that's vintage and it's still usable.
Yeah.
And that's coming again full circle.
And then we can come to you and get an old record player.
Yes, you could.
That works.
But we sell a tremendous amount of vinyl. And again,
I can imagine.
Do you really?
Absolutely. I'd say vintage clothing and vinyl and furnishings. Because things are just made better.
Oh, they were.
Yes.
You're 100% right. They are. Yes.
So I don't want to knock IKEA, but I don't know how many times somebody comes in and said, "Well, that bookshelf I bought," and I came home and it fell apart.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And I'll have an arts and crafts, bookcase, which is just a simple, clean design from the turn of the century. The previous century, 1900, and it's still standing there. It's still standing there waiting for
and
books.
It still looks good.
And it still looks good. Yeah. But we were talking, thank you for inviting me on the show, but I was thinking what you might appreciate. And in my second book, which is Vintage Confidential, I did a chapter. It was a little contest I had amongst my employees. And I said, every time somebody says something really or has a really odd request, write it down. And then we had a little contest to see who could collect the strangest, all true requests from people. And then that actually became a chapter in the book. And I thought I'd share a couple of them with you.
Oh, yes, definitely. I'd love to hear this.
So, and again, that's the internet. You can't make this shit up.
I know, right?
So true.
That's so true.
So we'll just run through it. What do all these soul tags mean?
Okay. Are they blonde? I mean,
yeah. This is one of my favorites, actually. I'm looking for something shaped like a brick. And the funny thing is, and here we go, there's a story. You remember, of course, years ago, maybe you don't remember, but years ago, you opened up a bank account and sometimes a bank, and they give you the actual physical model of the bank itself. And it was a bank. Mm-hmm. So you could put coins in it, but it looked like that bank.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the most, and people collect those. Some of them are really great.
Sure.
There was a bank. Hopefully they're out of business. I'm sure they were bought out by now, but it was a Clyde Savings Bank. I think it was in Berwyn, Illinois. And you know what? It looks like a brick. It looks like a brick. And I had half a dozen of those. As soon as you said it, I went, Clyde Savings. Right? How about $20 a pop? What do you think? Because it's the most unsaleable thing. And I sold him these, and I'm thinking he's probably going to throw it through somebody's window. I never asked.
Yeah, right.
I never asked.
You're not on a need-to-know basis.
No. So anyway,
and if he told you, he'd have to kill you. So there you go.
That's right. So this I hear all the time. Why aren't all these earrings cufflinks? Or why aren't all these cufflinks earrings?
Oh my God!
And it's different people who ask
that.
that. Yeah, different. It's not the same person who asked that question. That would be, I just show them the door. Where are all your vintage bongs, man?
Bongs.
That would be called a hookah.
Right. Very good, Edward. One of my favorites. I'm looking for something I don't think was ever made.
Oh God.
What do you do with that?
That's funny.
Yeah, things be cheaper when you go out of business.
You're gonna have a fire sale.
Let me tell you, retail, they're cold.
They really are.
They're cold. One of my store manager, he got this one. I'm still cracking up. Is that like a famous mirror?
See, I would have a hard time not making up a BS story about it.
Oh, yeah, really?
Yeah.
It's just too easy. It's too easy. I could just go left field with that.
Yeah, and Edward, there goes your reputation. I'm sorry. Right?
I know, right?
When the guy comes back You know,
and he sues you for misrepresentation.
What do you mean this wasn't
in Marilyn Monroe owned this?
Right. It was in the taken from the ladies' room at Mar-a-Lago. You know.
Oh my God!
No. Again, I got this other one from another dealer. Oh, this is. You get all this stuff from a catalog.
Right.
And the dealer who told me that, she said she would run with it when people would ask her that. She'd say, "Yeah, oh yeah, I've got it right here. Well, where can I get a copy of that?" "Oh, you can't get a copy of that. You can't. It's not a print. Only. Can't get it. You can't get a. Can't get
It's vintage."
Should I just keep going? I mean, we're on a roll here.
That's funny.
I'm selling a coffin that was only used once.
But I'd have to ask, where's the body?
Yeah.
What'd you do with the body?
I don't even think it's on here, but I'm thinking the other thing is having this. My mother's having an estate sale, but she doesn't know about it yet. Somebody just said that to me the other week. This is classic too. I don't want an appraisal. I just want to know what it's worth.
Okay. Oh God!
And this is
classic.
And of course, people are always trying to sell us things, and we turn down a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Do you get most of your stuff from these sales that you go to? These state sales? Is that where you mainly?
Well, by this point, I've been doing this for so long, it's very internet based. So it's people saying, and there's a number of reasons for this too. There's people that live in gated communities, can't have an estate sale. Certain condos and co-ops for security, they don't want the whole public.
Okay, yeah, all right. I can see that. So
it's more like people just take pictures, send it to us, so we say yes or no. And but somebody, after I turned somebody down, somebody said, "Can you recommend another store that won't buy my thing?" How much is free shipping?
How much is free shipping? I can't believe people are so stupid, but
Well,
not stupid, but they ask inane questions.
They ask inane questions. Yeah.
I don't think they put a lot of thought into the question.
Yeah. No. Well, you guys are professionals, but a lot of people, there's no edit in their head. Mm-hmm. It's whatever they think of just comes out.
Just comes right out. So you have you started off brick and mortar. I mean, you're still brick and mortar, based out of Chicago.
Yes.
Do you have any other locations?
We were doing shows in New York, the Pier shows for years.
Yes.
And I did have a location on 26 for a couple of years, but it kind of became, we were selling furniture. That's what was really, so yeah, from our base here in Source in Chicago, that's an 800-mile drive of driving. Yeah. It got to be, when I was a younger man, let's put it that way.
Yeah, right.
And now it kind of doesn't matter where you are, again, because of the internet. You can buy anywhere, you can sell anywhere.
What made you want to go into this type of a business? What started you on this path for doing all of this?
I was a paralegal, one of my hats. And on the weekends, I would hit yard sales and garage sales. And there was an antique store, big antique store, a mall in Chicago. And it was the first big one. And I would go there every weekend and just drool. I didn't know anything about the business. So I was a complete customer on this. And short story longer, one of the times I was there, I kind of befriended the owner's wife and started talking. And she said they needed to do some things for publicity, and they didn't really know what to do. They were running classified ads. Can you imagine? It's like the early Grinder of vintage, running classified, single lonely etagere seeks, I don't know.
It's hilarious.
So I said, I could do that because I had done publicity for the city of Chicago and some other things, business plans. And I went, I could do that. And she said, well, we don't have any money. Sounds familiar, right, guys? We don't have any money, but we'll give you a booth in the basement. And I thought, at every place you go, especially go to an estate sale, you go to the basement. It's always basements and attics. That's where you want to go.
Oh, yeah. Right?
Antique stores are the same way. So I thought, that'd be great. And right at the base of the stairs, she gives me but I don't know what I'm doing. So I started bringing things in, and they're selling like crazy because, of course, I don't know how to price anything. And people are just picking me clean.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And so she actually introduced me, though, to a guy who they had a waiting list, and a gentleman, Jeff Nelson, and he was lived in Madison, and he was managing. Now, again, this is 1987, 88, and he was managing a mid-century modern store in Madison, and the guy he was working for was selling to all these dealers and high-end people in New York and LA. Mm-hmm. And I met Jeff, and he said, well, this guy wants to sell his business, and we could do this. And his dad would lend him money, and my folks would lend me money. And I went and I said, you know what? Let's borrow the money.
Right, let's get this done.
Let's not buy this guy's business. And because I love Madison. Madison's great, but Chicago's a bigger town. Let's just leave it at that. And
much bigger market.
It's a much bigger market. And I said, and we need to do what he's doing, but we need to do the same thing out of Chicago. So we each borrowed $5,000 from our folks and used this pickup truck, and we just went crazy. We just drove everywhere, and we would buy the stuff and clean it up, put it in the basement, get back in the truck, and we did that for years. And we were young, and it was very early for us, for anybody to bringing in like 50, 60 stuff. A lot of the older dealers were, it's the crap you guys are bringing in. But, of course, as we all well know, mid-century modern would go on to be a huge category in collecting. So if you go down in, digging into, is it Edward Wormley? Is it you get really all the designer-based things, and Eames, of course, you go on. And it lends itself beyond, furniture into objects, pottery, lighting, whatever. So anyways, that's the long and the short of how we got started. I'll stop there.
That must have been a huge. It must have been you were talking about pricing. That's got to be probably the hardest part of everything was figuring out how to properly price.
Well,
how do you put value? You could only know so much about it.
Right.
You could research.
Right.
You could, look at the quality, the shape of it.
And how do you know what's really?
It could be worth $1 million, or it could be worth $10.
Exactly.
Well, how do you know what's really like a famous type of pottery or a painting or what, as opposed to just a run of the mill something?
Right. So, well, back then it's really pre-internet. I'm going to put that out there. So how you figured these things out was from books,
right?
Which, as soon as something comes out, it's completely outdated, but it's something. And it was a business that is just like kind of what you know and what other people know. So it certainly lent to oneself to be friends with a pottery expert, an art expert, a jewelry expert, a furniture expert.
Right.
So friends. Other dealers,
and so you collab with people,
exactly, and hopefully I would then offer some advice on something that I may know about. I don't know what that would be at the moment, but I know a little bit about everything, which doesn't get you on the bus, put it that way. But being in kind of a mall or a multi-dealer situation, then you have all these contacts, and I wanted to meet all the older dealers. Those guys selling the 50s crap. But, and I'll tell you the one thing I did I did this for a while. Every Christmas, I would get a case of wine, and I'd go around to all the different stores, and I'd give them a bottle of wine. And I would say, thank you for sending me business in 1989 for that year. Well, they never sent me business. They didn't know who I was. It didn't matter, but they knew who I was then. And it would be like, oh, this is the guy who gave me a bottle of wine last year. But inevitably, when I had a question about something, they would be more likely to take my call. And sometimes they would call me and say, I've got this fiberglass lamp, and I don't really know how much should I put on that? So
what do I do with it?
Well, it goes both ways then, right? So now it's different. Now you've got the internet, and you can
right. So you can look up anything,
auction results, and you can go on eBay. What's sold? Not what people are asking for, because
that's a biggie. That's a biggie too, because you can start to get a price point, on certain things.
Right.
Well, and there's we laugh because what was there the other day we saw? It was a really good cocktail shaker. It's a nice cocktail shaker, and it's something. On a good day, I could get a couple $100 for it. And somebody was asking Well, somebody's asking you $10,000 for it on eBay, and we always go, money laundering? What's going on here? You know what? I don't understand. So it's not, you see these things. Well, I saw this. We get this all the time. I saw this on eBay, Etsy, blah 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 blah.
Right,
well,
right.
that's what somebody was asking. Anybody can ask anything.
Well, that's true.
Sure.
That's true.
So what did it actually sell for? I mean, I should have a parrot on my shoulder that says, "What did it really sell for? What did it really sell for?" Because to the public and my dealers, it's like they haven't heard me say this 1,000 times, because that's the only thing that's important, And then in an auction, well, two people wanted it, and so you can run up a price on something that really might not have been worth that. But
but it becomes
true.
a personal competition between the two, and
exactly.
But it's like, what is it worth to you,
like
so to speak? What is it really worth to you? When it gets to a certain point, maybe it's not worth that much to you, and you're going to back
something
down.
that they just have to have.
Exactly.
Maybe it's something similar that meets their decor, and they just have to have it.
What is the most famous person that you sold something of? Like something of theirs, somebody really famous.
Oh, something of theirs.
Yes.
That's a tough one.
Batman's cape.
Well, there's famous and there's infamous. Well, one estate and actually I write about it in the first book, Vintage Confidential. So get this start was Highroth. Now you could say I never heard of Highroth. Okay, but Highroth, one of the early illustrators at Playboy. So like Gahan Wilson, you may have heard of, the cartoonist. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Highroth. So and we were friends, and as things unraveled in his life, unfortunately, I processed his estate. But he was amazing, and I'll tell you a brief Highroth story, because every time you went out with him, something crazy was going to happen. The one time he came to the store and he said, "I'm going to bring a friend, and you got to meet him." I said, "Okay." So busy Sunday afternoon, and Hi comes in with this very diminutive little woman, a little person, this old little, I would say little old lady. She was elderly and she was a little person. Right. And honestly, I forgot her name. And I said, "Oh, wow." And she goes, "Joe, very nice to meet you." And she goes, "My husband's in the car. He can't get out of the car, but he wants to meet you." Okay. So I go outside, and Hi had one of those old English taxis. Mm-hmm. So right there, that's amazing. Yeah. One of those old English taxis. And he opens the door, and it's the coroner from The Wizard of Oz.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Really?
Meinhard, I'm blanking out, and he was rather elderly, of course.
Oh God!
And we had a nice little conversation. But I'm going like, what? That's like time traveling to me. It's
right.
I mean, that's beyond meeting someone famous. It's like I don't know. I don't want to get religious, but I had a moment. So
okay.
I'd say that was kind of the more unusual ones as far as that, because Hi and I definitely had some adventures, very odd adventures with because he was interested in unusual things as well. So
okay.
Hi had written a book called The Little People, and it was really the first book which seriously and respectfully introduced little people as opposed to midgets and dwarves and that, and not in any kind of a humorous way, either. And they would have conventions every year, and he was just swarmed. I mean, he was a star that those people. He wasn't a little person like myself. He was short, but he wasn't a little person. But Highroth, and then one should Google him. His art is amazing, and he used to call himself the most famous unknown person in Chicago.
Oh, really?
It's wild. There's meeting famous people, and then there's meeting icons.
Right.
There's a little bit of a difference.
Yes.
We've all met sports stars, actors, whatever.
Right.
But when you meet somebody who's put something on the map, like I met Les Paul once when I was 18. And I'm a guitarist, and you turn around one day and he's standing behind you. That's it's like a spiritual moment.
It is.
Right. Well, really, honestly,
this guy's name is forever going to be in the books. Forever, never, never, never.
It's funny because I've had younger people ask me the question as far as who, more likely it's what famous people have come through the store or that I've met.
I was going to ask you that too, but go ahead.
And, well, And this is the first one was, and to Edward's comment of just being like just in awe, was so they were filming Only the Lonely with John Candy. And he
I loved him.
He came in, he was very sweet, but Anthony Quinn was in that film.
Oh.
And now I mention this to younger people and they go, they don't know. Yeah.
No, of course not.
Anthony Quinn is like Hollywood royalty. I mean, he was married to Cecil B. DeMille's daughter. I mean, you can't go back any farther than that.
I know,
right?
But he did a lot of very good films.
He did, absolutely. And Only the Lonely was really good. So here's my Anthony Quinn story. So comes in, looks around, comes up at the counter and just kind of grunts and points. And we had pocket knives. We had all these little pocket knives. And so he doesn't say anything. He just points. So I start taking out pocket knives. And he picks out the ones he wants, puts them in his pocket and starts to put the cash down on the counter. And I honestly, I don't say anything to him. I'm like, holy shit, it's Anthony Quinn. Right? And right behind him that I didn't even see because I'm staring at him was his wife. And she says, Tony, they want you back on the set. And I go, oh. He grunts. He starts to leave. She reaches out, takes the cash, puts down a credit card, and says, this will be a charge sale.
Okay.
Well, I love that because that says a lot.
Yeah.
Right there. I mean, that might be how she became Mrs. Anthony Quinn, if you think about it.
Exactly.
Yeah. God, yeah.
This will be a charge. And that $100 went right back in her pocket.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I've got a chapter and just like, again, all the famous people that have come through.
Well, you got so many in Chicago. I mean, my God,
well,
you got all the comedians, Second City, Bill Murray,
and
Belushi, and
they filmed so many things here as well. COVID put a big pause on that, but that's coming back this week. We've been dropping Dark Matter on Apple TV. I've got a funny one in that we did a lot for Prison Break. You remember that show, Prison Break?
Oh yeah.
So then the prop people would come in all the time, and the one time this woman comes in, and I knew she was from Prison Break, and she's getting all these cups and saucers and doilies, and a teapot and all this stuff, and I'm going like, I can't envision this in a cell, Martha Stewart is redoing Sing Sing.
She was in prison.
What is that? Right? So what? And I'm going, I've got to ask. And she goes, oh, no. One of the guys who's escaped is hiding out at his aunt's house. And I go like, oh, okay. And everybody has an aunt with cups and saucers and toilet and teapots and all that stuff.
It's funny you mentioned that. I didn't put two and two together. I mean, if you're filming so much and they need very out of the ordinary, unique things.
That's true.
Spur of the moment, of course, it's the natural trickle through. They're
let's go into this guy's store. He's got all kinds of things.
Well, and they need to buy it because for some reason that shot didn't work. They want another take, and it can't be, we rented that, we can't get that back. I mean, it's lost a fortune because of a $75 chair or something.
Wow.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
that's really interesting. I like to take on that. Wow. So what's going to go on for you now? I mean, you have your store, you're writing books. Are you going to write another book?
I'm working on another book. Actually, I've got when the second book came out, I had an offer to do a column in Greenwich Village. It's a paper called The Village View.
Okay.
Was it used to be The Village Voice, or did they change it?
No.
It's a totally different
paper. It's pretty much, it's just for the West and East Village. But it's an actual physical newspaper. Like, if you got a puppy, you could use it, Okay. But, I think it's crazy. It's an actual physical paper, It's wonderful. But as it's gone along, there's you want a backstory, Google the Village View, because how that came about is crazy. Because for a while there were two of them. They were competing papers.
Under the same name.
And they had the same name?
Under the same name.
That's like that candy bar, Twix 1 and Twix 2.
Yeah. Well, that's called Betwixt and Between. And and then I had to decide which paper I was going to go with. And thankfully, I picked the right one. And
that's good.
And it's going on. It's a wonderful paper. There's wonderful writers. I didn't mean to make the puppy joke, but only because it's actual paper. But so I have a column there every month, and it's called "It's All My Fault."
It's all my fault.
It's all my fault, and you can read it on the Village View or on Substack. So it's reprinted on Substack. So that keeps me
very
busy.
Cool.
So I'm always,
And what do you encompass in the article? Or is it,
what kind of things do you write about?
I've written about Project 2025. I certainly write about politics. I write about vintage. I write about just crazy, stupid things that happen to me.
Okay.
Which, and again, when I always say there's crazy, stupid things that happen to everybody. Everybody's you won't believe what happened today, right?
Yes.
So I'm just different because I take notes on it and I go, well, people have to hear this one. So all kinds of different things.
Well, being in retail, you meet all kinds of people. So
yes,
there's always got to be a story. Every day is probably a story. It's an adventure.
It is, and it's very much a people business. You nailed it.
Yes.
Oh, big time.
Yes.
I'll tell you,
definitely.
Even down a road like Pawn Stars.
Mm-hmm.
I think my favorite part of that whole show was them bringing in the experts to talk about the item. That was just absolutely the coolest part of it. And that's got to be fun for you, to discuss pieces, time frames, how were they made, stuff like that, all that knowledge that you've gained throughout the years.
Right.
Generally, although it is funny though, because again, my staff and I, we talk about this because someone can ask, well, what do you know about this? And we'll go, oh, well, blah, 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 blah. And someone will say, I don't think so. So yes. You're entitled to your opinion. Who made it? But
we're going to fudge a little bit on this.
But definitely, you meet a lot of people, get into some really odd situations. People are rather inefficient with their time. I often complain, and in that, we sold the house and it's got to be emptied this weekend. That kind of thing. It's like, it doesn't work that way. I mean, I don't even know if my movers are available this weekend. Let's start there. So
we live in an instant society now. Everything's got to be now.
Yeah, and parallel to that is that it also makes it more difficult. I've noticed this season, holiday season, more than last. I guess that's what's happening. Is that people shop, and even in a vintage store, and we're a big vintage store. We're 20,000 square feet on 2 floors. It's
that's big. Yeah,
this is very big. But people say, well, and they'll see something sold. Well, I want one of those. Well, I don't have one of those. That was the one I had. And it would be like the old, don't you have one in the back?
Yeah,
like at a Sears outlet center, and I can match your hubcap.
Yeah.
So, but I think that, and not everybody, of course, but many, many, many people.
Yeah.
Like, well, how often do you get that? Well, this is the first one I've had in 5 years. I may never have another one, and they don't get it because, to your point, Lynn, it's that kind of instant gratification that I can push a button and, Amazon Prime, it's here tomorrow.
You're right.
And it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way.
Boxed and packed and on your porch.
Yeah, and right on your doorstep, right?
Yes. Yeah. Some poor guy had a stroke. Getting you some kibble. I mean, just like I need Q-tips in the morning. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you do online internet sales as well? Do you have an online store?
No.
So they have to come in person.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we sell on eBay. So Bam Chicago.
You sell stuff on eBay too?
We have since the beginning.
So you have specific like eBay staff, like people that just focus on that?
You are talking to him.
The man, the myth.
Yeah, well, you're taking pictures, giving a description, and are you doing buy now or are you bidding? Are they bidding?
You know what? I tend to do. It annoys people, but I tend to do auctions first, especially with things.
Okay.
I sell a lot of rare books because I like books. But books are very, an ephemera. But the book market is very flat for obvious reasons. So I tend to sell to other high-end bookstores, booksellers, especially in New York, and collectors. So
Okay.
so I'll put them out there and go like, of course I do my research and I go, I think this is worth some money, but I don't want to go crazy. And let's just have a low opening bid and see if I can get some people, see if I can get an auction going.
Get the train rolling.
Get the train rolling. And if it doesn't sell, then I turn into a buy it now. And
yeah, I did years ago. I bought something on a bid and I won the bid and I was so excited about it, But now it's just if I find something on eBay, it's like buy it now. If it doesn't say buy it now, I can't be bothered.
Well, no, and that's valid. Yeah, it's absolutely valid.
Yeah.
So I'm one of those people too who would annoy you.
Yeah.
But again, if it doesn't sell at the auction, then it becomes a buy it now. So
yeah, really.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of
at the end of the day, you want to get something for it that's fair.
That's true too.
Well, and I sell,
keep moving pieces.
I sell for other people.
Okay.
People, so I want to get them top dollar.
Like consignment?
But very limited. Really limited consignment, and not in the store. Online, I do that, but not
the store is strictly everything is yours. The products.
No, I have 65 dealers. So when I talk about having other people, so my store is
okay. So your store is broken down into different vendors.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
So
you get a percentage of those vendors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but they also don't
part of the deal.
Yeah. Well, they also don't have to work, which is a huge thing because in other stores they make you work. And I found you end up having people there who don't want to be there or who aren't good at selling. Some people aren't good at selling their own thing. That's actually pretty common.
True. That's very true.
So for whatever reason, they just don't have that. And honestly, I think even more excited selling other people's things than mine, especially if something that they couldn't sell and I was able to sell it. So that's always like, a little star on my Christmas tree.
Yeah.
A notch in the belt.
Yeah. And so that makes me a little more popular. But
I wouldn't be able to sell somebody else's stuff. Like I couldn't be a salesman and go out there or be on the phone. But if I have something of my own, I can do it.
See, well, and I love when people are able to do that. But some people just kind of can't get out of their own way.
Yeah, true.
Very true.
That's true. That's very true.
Let's get to the serious question. Close to you, if I came to see you in Chicago at your store, how close to your store could I get a Chicago beef sandwich?
Okay. Wow.
Ooh.
2 blocks.
Ooh.
2 blocks. Wow.
There's a fantastic Italian beef place near us.
Oh, my mouth is watering.
It has been there forever. So sweeter dipped, right?
Just as juicy and wet as possible.
Right.
You got to take a shower after it.
Right.
Oh, God.
And green peppers.
Oh, yeah. The jardiniere. Oh,
yeah. So, okay, good question. And
first time I flew out to Chicago a few years back, my cousin lives out there, and I'm a big Kansas City Chiefs fan. So they were playing the Bears. I flew out there. The first thing I did, as soon as I got to her place, was unpack my stuff. And I said, "Where is the sandwich shop?" Walked right out by myself and just went and got one, like immediately. And it was well worth it.
It's just a man who travels on his stomach.
Oh God, yeah.
True.
I watch the Food Network, and I watch all these people go to Chicago and get these delicious sandwiches, and I'm sitting there drooling, going, "Oh my God, I got to get to Chicago." So it winds up in your little Chicago bucket list. And,
listen, it's
dinner time.
Well, it's a sports town. It's a foodie town.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. So actually, one of my favorite things is that I've got New Yorkers. They tend to be dealers that will just get an early flight to Chicago, come to us, shop for a couple hours, maybe hit another store, have lunch, and go back to the airport.
Ouch!
And go back home. Because you can do it. It's an hour and a half flight. So you can get your Italian beef and get your fix, and then we just ship whatever they purchased.
Sure.
And I want to start name dropping, but people that you have heard of
that can afford
to do that.
People who have designers who have lines of merchandise at Target. They'll narrow it down for $1,000.
I went to Chicago once, but years ago. My son was in the Navy, so he went to my younger son. He was in the Navy, so he was in boot camp up there, and it happened to be a weekend because I had to be there 4 days. where it was almost Thanksgiving and it was 50 something degrees. They had a very strange weekend. It was and I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Because everybody said to me, oh my God, you're going to freeze up there and the lake effect or this and that. It was gorgeous, gorgeous. But that was my only time. It's the only time I went there.
Well,
I was
but it was
shocked
interesting.
It was very, and I lived in New York City for years. It was so much cleaner.
Yeah, it was very clean.
Very diverse. I was there for a German fest that, they dyed the river green in St. Patrick's Day and all that. Like they had a lot going on. I was very impressed, and it was good fun. I can't wait to go back.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice. I keep telling my niece that I'm going to go up there, but I don't find the time. But someday. But unfortunately, Duane, our time is up, and we have to say goodbye to you. So I want you to tell all of our fans where they can find you.
Well, online.
Get it all out.
Yeah. So on the internet, you can check out the store. And so that's at bamchicago.com. And there's a music, and you should play the music video. It's a music video that I wrote with a friend of mine, which is like, people just love it. And that'll give you a flavor of that. Of course, here, Duane's got CERNY. So Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, I think, and
LinkedIn,
and either LinkedIn. Where aren't I?
You're all over.
You're not. There should not be enough. If there's another platform, I'm going to end up jumping off of it. That's what I think.
Tell me about it.
You could do that.
It's just massive redundancy. You get the same friends talking about the same things, shooting the same pictures.
You're right.
You can go to and if you want a sample of the book, there's one of the stories was printed in the New York Times, and it's called Traces of a Man Who Disappeared.
Okay.
Traces of a Man Who Disappeared. And you can Google that and read that for free. And it'll also give you a feel for how I write and what I write about. And I think that's one of my proudest accomplishments, because getting something into the New York Times is like an atomic colonoscopy.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I self-published, but I never really pushed my book. I keep saying I'm going to, but I don't. I mean, a lot of people bought it, but still in all, I never pushed it. But I am starting in 2025. I have a number of people. I'm going to be on their shows and push my book at the same time.
Excellent.
So why not? Why not? It's there. It's a great story. And, I've got people asking me to send the script to them. So who knows what'll happen? I don't know. I think 225 is going to be a good year.
You just got to be there. Life's about showing up.
Absolutely.
All you need to do. Thank you guys so much. This has been a blast.
I'm so happy.
Honestly, thank you, Duane.
Yes, I'm so happy that you agreed to be on the show. You're a great person. You're a lot of fun. And I wish you the best in 2025 and beyond. And to our fans out there, we are funnyminds.com, and you can go on our website, and we have our merch. Of course, everybody's got merch, but we've got merch too. And our QR code has a lot more merch on it. It's coming out.
It's not vintage, though.
It's not vintage. We can make it look vintage somehow, but whatever. But we have, there's two organizations that we're really fond of, and that's on our website. It's St. Jude's Children's Hospital, and it's cancer. So if you're so inclined, there's a big purple button, and you can make a donation. And they do some wonderful things, and I know everybody knows that already, but I'm still putting it out there. So again, Duane, thank you so much for spending this time with us. It was really a lot of fun. I really enjoyed having you on. You're a wealth of knowledge, and I'll have to look at some of your stuff that I see on eBay, see what I think.
Oh, yeah.
But anyhow, I'm going to say goodbye to everyone. Laughter is the best medicine. 2025, we're going to have a rolling, laughing time. And it's going to be great. And I enjoy everybody and I love everybody. So I'm going to say bye-bye now.
Duane, thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you.
Just one time. You ready? The Bears.
The Bears.
No, honestly, thank you so much for coming on, Duane.
The Bears.
Yeah. Pepsi. No Coke.
All right. Bye-bye
Be
now.
well.
Bye-bye, guys. Thank you.